Today, we're looking at mind management. Let's set it up. Mind Management is a 1 to 5 player hidden movement game. One player is the recruiter, and they are secretly moving in a snake-like fashion, trying to get 12 recruits or last until 1600 hours on the turn track. The other players are the rogue agents, and they're trying to capture the recruiter. On the recruiter's turn, they do two things. One is to move one space orthogonally on their hidden movement board, and they are unable to move to a space they've been before. The second thing they do is to move an immortal one space orthogonally on the main board. The recruiter starts with 3 hidden feature cards and 2 face-up feature cards. The hidden feature cards are used when the recruiter moves along their secret board. On a space where they have one of those features, they are considered to get a recruit. When 2 immortals are on a space that matches the face-up feature cards, the recruiter also gets another recruit. On the rogue agent's turn, they can do 2 of 5 different things. They can move up to 2 spaces orthogonally. They can ask about one of the 2 features on the space they are on. The recruiter then has to answer honestly and place a footstep token on any space that they've been to that has that feature. They can shake down. When they are on the same space as an immortal, they can guess any feature card. If that is one of the hidden cards for the recruiter, that card is removed from the game and the recruiter no longer gets recruits for being on that feature. They can reveal. When they are on a space with a footstep token, the recruiter is forced to tell them what time they were on that space. Finally, they can capture. If they are in the space where they believe the recruiter is at and they capture, they win the game. Due to the included shift system, all of these options may change as it adds different asymmetrical powers for each side of this game. Let's get to some shelf stats on this. The box itself is a little bit bigger than a Ticket to Ride standard box height-wise, and not quite as thick though, or I should say wide. It is about as thick, if not maybe a little thicker, depending on your version. The version I have here is the retail version. The Kickstarter version is bigger from what I understand. The amount of space that it takes up on the table, again, this is a 3x3 playmat on this table. As you can see, you could fit probably all of this on there. The main thing would be the sideboard for the recruiter. You could probably still squeeze it onto a 3x3 not coffee table, but card table. It may be a little tight though. The main concern is your ability for the rogue agents to potentially see your movements based upon how you may move to make those marks. As far as colorblind issues, I didn't have any for the game itself as far as the board and the tokens and things like that. I did for the rulebook. The rulebook, and I don't know if it's just my particular version of color blindness or the color palette that they used, the basic game and the normal game, I had to be in very bright light to determine those apart. And I think if the pages had been white with these different colored blocks for the type of game that you were playing, it would have been easier to read. So I don't know if it's color blindness or just the color palette itself caused that issue, and if other people have that, but something to be aware of. Now let's talk about the solo mode on this. It does have a solo mode, and it can be played cooperatively as well. Generally it's a competitive game, one against many. However, the solo and cooperative are done using an app, and I have played it multiple times. I have only won once. Maybe I'm not very good at the game or getting the subtle details of how to use the powers against it. However, the shift system is a little different on that, and there is a digital version of the shift system in there. Some things will have you take pieces or parts from the physical version, while some are digital only. The app is very smooth, it's not hard to run at all, but be aware if you are playing this solo, you will need an app, same with cooperative. So what are some of the pros of this game? Well, it's a lot faster than most of these types. Having played Letters from Whitechapel and Fury Dracula, they are both longer, and I would say Fury for Dracula probably starts more complicated. This one has the ability to get complicated, and but that's a welcome addition because you can choose how difficult you want to make it or how in-depth you want to make it. There is a training mode which cuts out a few things, which is more of a straightforward cat and mouse game. It is recommended you play that way at first. That'll get you a little more comfortable with the system to start with before you start adding more to it. Also, this game is actually pretty easy to set up. Once the recruiter has made their steps, really, you kind of go. And there's enough back and forth that the turns seem to go pretty fast. Some of those games previously mentioned, one person goes and then all the other players go. For the recruiter, that can lead to some downtime on those longer turns with a lot of players. However, with this one, because only 2 players can move between each recruiter's turn, it does make that faster for the recruiter. One of the other pros is the shift system itself. Now, they do say to unlock it kind of one at a time. There's nothing to keep you from going through it, but basically they each add different parts to the game. More difficulty for one side or the other. And I think this is a great way of balancing it out. That way you may have someone who's been playing this for a bit and you're trying to introduce it to new players. You could handicap one group more than the others, and it has multiple layers of difficulty based upon what you choose to use in the shift system, and I think that's a good idea. Now, the art in this could be a pro, could be a con, depending on your own personal tastes. I like this for the most part. Again, after I got over the initial reaction to a little bit of overload, what is this thing? What am I looking for? What does this card say? I tended to enjoy it more and more, and so much so that I actually got interested in the actual comics themselves, and it led me into this great story. However, as we get to the minuses, this may be the minus for the game as well. The art is very stylized, and when you see this, you might just go, I don't like it. I'm walking away. It's too much for my head, but give it a chance. I think it'll be worth your time if you like this type of game. Couple moments playing it and you'll kind of forget all about it. You'll see everything that you need to see pretty easily, and you just get into it. The other minus is that there is a Kickstarter version of this. Don't go online to look at what that looks like, because if you get the retail version, you're going to be sorely disappointed box-wise. However, the shift system that is in here is still there. It still works. You've got all the same components that way. However, the quality of everything is definitely different. So be aware of that. One of the big negatives that I found was the rule book itself. It wasn't hard to understand, but the layout of it is very, I just bounced off of it so much. It's not a hard game to learn really, but I had to look at the rule book so much, and I don't know if it's the colors, maybe there's some colorblind issues in there, but the rule book, they include the training game and the regular game. However, everything is mashed together. So it'll say for the training game, do this, but for the regular game, do this. That's fine, but I would have preferred to have just the training game set aside separately, and then here's the additions for the full game. So overall, I think if you like hidden movement games, this is a great one to try. It's fast, and it gives you difficulty scaling so that you can play against people that are better than you and not feel dumb because you can't find them on the board, which is a big problem on these types of games. There's enough things that will even the odds that I think it's worth your time to play this. If you don't like that, it's such a quick game, or you can lose quick enough in that you're not wasting 3 hours playing a game that you can't, win. The art could be going either way. However, if you like it, You're gonna enjoy this. If you like the comics, you'll definitely like this, and I think it's a good addition to any gamer's table. So that's my thoughts on mind management. If you have any questions, please leave them down in the comments. My name is Joe, and you're watching Dice of Wrath.